Hello, Steve White, Steve Out saying no. Well, I'm trying to catch up on my Matlock reviews because I've had a bit of trouble following the show for the last 5 or 6 weeks. Basically, the first 8 episodes dropped no problems, but then there was a big gap, and I thought maybe we weren't going to have it on the network anymore because I can't actually get Channel 10 thanks to the satellite issue. I mean, the antenna problems. So I have to remember to stream it, and I keep forgetting. And like I said, I kept checking, it wasn't there. And then one day I found both episode 9 and 10 were there, so I watched them both and it was really great. And I did reviews for them, but I don't think I put them up. And then before I knew it, episode 11 was there and I watched that and I forgot to do a review for it. And then next thing I know, episode 12 and 13 were up and I just watched them. And the other day, and then before I knew it, I had episode 14 because I thought, oh, it's Monday, there'll be a new episode because I just watched them like on, I think, Saturday or something. And I was trying to do a review for episodes 12 and 13, and not only did I get the titles wrong because I was calling them the titles of episode 11 and 12, but I realised I didn't actually do a review for 11, and I'm like I remember the cases, but I can't separate the developments in Matlock's ongoing, quest against to reveal who was holding back the information about the opioid crisis and all that, and the interpersonal stories like the drama between Sarah and Billy and all that. So I tried really hard to do reviews for episode 12 and 13, but I think I've sort of mixed up exactly where each sort of point in Billy and Sarah's sort of journey was in. So I'm just going to do all 3 episodes in one because I can't do them separately, so I kind of screwed that up. But I can't imagine anyone's going to be devastated. I can't imagine it's going to destroy anyone's world that I don't have, separate reviews up for these things each week. But it's just fun to do. I love the show. I like talking about it. But okay, so the first episode 11, the story, because each week you sort of have the case of the week and then you have the overall sort of story, which is mostly about Maddie trying to work out who was behind the holding the opioid crisis information, and then you have the sort of ongoing stuff, and it's lately been more about Sarah and Billy, and I love Billy. He's adorable. Now he's been dating, and there was a really funny part where he was getting his groove back and he had this big belt and he was just adorable, but Sarah was not appreciating him, and she was really upset that he was actually picked by Maddie because of her ongoing sort of case issues. She put Sarah in charge of the case and she took her off it and put Billy on instead. And she was really angry, and she eventually pulled out of it and started to Olympia sort of pulled her out of it and said, look, you need to stop this, it's ridiculous. And then she sort of offered some advice, and then somehow she got roped into like a mentorship, and of course Sarah is just going too far and she's just on her back every second like they're best friends. And it's kind of funny, but you think, okay, no way a woman this intelligent would really behave like this, not this consistently. So it's not totally believable, but it is scary that you have these moments and you're like, oh my god, she's so bad, and then you have to remind yourself this is a fictional character, no real person would do this in the real world, I hope. So there's that. But then she eventually snaps at Billy, and she basically tells him that Maddie was just so wrong to choose him over her because clearly she's better and everyone knows it. And he was so hurt and angry because she's not better. I think lawyer-wise they're equal, but on a interpersonal level she has really bad interpersonal skills, and she's just like a machine, and she's just obsessed with success and not actually caring about the cases so much. And he always helps her out with that, and without that she was really struggling, but he was kind of unburdened without dealing with her. So he was doing fine, and he really did the boundary thing, and I was really proud of the character because I know he's just a character, he's not a real person, but I love him and adore him. And sometimes people like that, they do have to establish boundaries with people because they take advantage of them and so forth. And he really set up with her, and he didn't let her off easy. She just did the whole, fine, what do I do, how do I, stop you from being so upset, like trivializing it, and then really realizing he was serious, and really he held out long enough that she really started to miss him, realize how much she needed him, and really started to look at herself and what she was doing in that. And she eventually said the right things, and he let her off the hook, and they clearly both missed each other, and they did like working together, and it was nice to see them sort of get their groove back together. And that there were a few really great moments though where he just put her in her place, and I was like, that was, yep, okay, but I'm with him. And she also had an issue with the girlfriend. The girl she's been dating doesn't want to be monogamous, and she's like, great, I've just wasted all this time on someone who just wants to hook up with people, including her enemy from school that she'd met up with, that is a nasty piece of work, who was trying to undermine her and sabotage her and so forth and psych her out and that. And Billy didn't believe her at first. She's like, she's just being herself. And then he caught her and realized she's actually messing with her. But then, because she's so hot and showed interest in him, he ended up kind of hooking up with her, and not really sleeping, but sleeping with the enemy. And of course, Sarah was, outraged, and I don't blame her. I was really disappointed in him. It was like a male weakness moment, and a lot of straight guys are like that. A pretty girl can do pretty much anything, and they'll just, follow them around, and, So yeah, that was probably the most interesting part of the last few episodes. Now, the individual stories, no, I didn't. The first one was a startup case, like a startup. Basically, someone stole someone else's research for a product, and you think that it's the other side stealing their information, then they actually were stealing from them in the first place. And the owner sort of knew what was happening, so he was ahead of them for a few steps, but they eventually worked him out. Now, the second case was a matter of a divorce, and Olympia and Justin, or whatever his name is, Julian, took both sides, and there's no way this would happen in the real world, that two lawyers in a divorce against each other are going to take up a divorce case and take both sides. And they sort of explained it away in the episode as, we got both our clients to waive, the conflict of interest stuff. So at the end of the day, they convinced this couple to do the best thing for the son and to stop being idiots. And the old, you can either be right or you can be happy. And they chose to be happy, and then they chose to be happy. So they sort of calmed down. And the third case was about a sorority, and a girl was being accused of killing another girl that she'd been bullying for years by giving her an energy drink that set off a heart problem she had. And it turned out to be some other girls trying to get revenge on her for bullying all of them. And they had set her up, they took her ID and stuff, and they basically proved that while she was taking selfies of herself, she wasn't at this shop buying the energy drink and so forth. So they got her off of that, and that was sort of over those couple of cases where Sarah and Billy had to work together. They kind of appreciated they sort of realized how well they worked together, and they kind of had to work together. So they sort of had to sort of repair their sort of issues and that. And the other thing that was happening on the side that was brought up by because one of the things that woman did was she tried to steal her son, tried to kidnap her son, and also when things were going bad, she basically barricaded herself in one of the rooms, like that was going to help anything. And Julian and Olympia ended up fighting in front of the judge to get put into contempt long enough to stall them enough to get her out of the office. And Maddie talked her down because she was going through this whole guilt issue where and her husband was blaming her, which is really hard to watch because they've been really a cute couple. But when their daughter was in her addiction, they fought for custody of their grandson, and they got it. And they got it by basically telling the truth about her and what was happening. And they ended up getting custody in the end because she didn't show up to the court case, and she didn't show up because she OD'd. And the husband always wondered if they hadn't pushed that so hard, would she have OD'd? Was losing the son and being shown that she was a bad mother and not taking care of him, which she wasn't, was that what pushed her over? And reality is, if she was an addict, she probably would have done it anyway. If she hadn't sorted it out, she would have, that's because that's what happens. But and they couldn't leave him with her because she wasn't sober and she was making mistakes and she was putting him in danger. So they did the right thing, and Maddie had to be the hard bitch and be the tough love, while the husband was just sort of, I don't know if this is the right thing, and she had to sort of be the firm one. And then of course whenever you're in that sort of situation where one person is enabling the addict and the other person is keeping them in line, and that it's very easy for them to then question the other person, blame the other person. It's easy to be, so I wasn't particularly happy with him, but you understood. And then, Kathy did some good acting where you really felt the turmoil of the question of, did I do this? If I'd done it a different way, would she still be here? And just I guess the betrayal of him feeling the same way and finally saying it. And the other issue that was happening was he has an email from the father of their grandson, because apparently they never knew who it was, but they're now wondering, should we have looked into it? Could this guy be a father? Are we just going to be introducing another addict to our grandson's life, or could this actually be a father to him? So now they're dealing with that whole issue. And I think that covers all 3 episodes. Normally I do like 5 minutes, that's sort of, but 3 episodes and 11 minutes, not too bad. I guess I covered it all. But it's funny, you lose a lot of little details. It's only been a couple of weeks, and so I can't remember half the things that happened in the episode. I remember more the character stuff between Billy and Sarah. That was the best, because I love Billy, and he was one of those nice guys that gets taken advantage of, and I'm glad that he sort of stood up, held his ground, and made her really take a look at herself and realise that she was not treating him well, and then started treating him better, and that was nice. But also nice to see them back together as friends, because she desperately needs him to, she seems to be working on stuff, but at the same time they're using it very much for comic relief with the mentorship with Olympia, and it's just like, would a woman of that intelligence, that education, really be that bad personally, as just on her personal skills, and act like that and not get the hints and always be overstepping and overzealous? And should she be diagnosed with something, and should it be taken more seriously on this show, or is it just like comic relief? I'm not sure. But I'm going to go and watch episode 14. This was what was this? Oh, Traitor in Thine Own House. This is that moment. And I think Game Day. Now I'm losing the episode names. Game Day is the one I'm about to watch. Program was episode 13. And episode 12 is This Is That Moment. And the one I missed, episode 11, which I thought I'd actually done a review and put up, was A Traitor in Our Own. Already said it. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I'm sorry it's so messy, but I mean, I'm not a real reviewer or anything. I'm not a real film critic. I'm just talking about this stuff for fun, because I do enjoy the show, and I'm really going to miss it. I realise 14 episodes. There's only I think 3 or 4 left. I think there's 18 episodes. And I'm not sure how far this show can go once she finds out who's responsible for withholding the information on the opioid crisis and all that, and signing out the thing and all that. Once she gets that information, exposed to that person, it's not like she can keep going in this law firm. And where does the show go for a second season? Do they just not resolve the problem, they keep going, and the end of the series is when she does that? Or is this just going to be like a 1-season thing? Or is she just going to come back next season and take on another big sort of case, and they sort of use that as a, look what you did here, you can do this, even though this was personal for you, but now being honest about who you are and all that, with the help of an actual law firm and all our resources, maybe we can go after some, other sort of cases like that. Is that what they're going to do? Or, I don't know, is it going to be like Beef, where we just get 1 season and that's it? But, I don't know. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Did I say that already? I don't know. This feels really long, but I had 3 episodes to go through, so, yeah. Bye.